Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and another Cricut card making tutorial. I thought there's still time to fit in one more project for Easter, and here it is. It's a beautiful bend out card with a 3D effect on all those bunnies and eggs you can see in the background. I've made it super shiny with yellow and blue glitter card, and then in the middle we've got 4 adorable little bunny rabbits. This is a fun card to make. And the good thing is, the Cricut does all the hard work with all of that cutting, so you just get the fun assembly to do at the end. Here's where to find the free SVG, and then keep watching to see how to make the card. Let's get started. You can find the free files to make this project at craftwithsarah.com/free-SVGs. Or click the link in the description of this video to go to the tutorial where you can download straight from that page. You'll need to register a free account on my website in order to download any of the designs. The download comes in a zip folder. Before you can get the files into your cutting machine software, you'll need to unzip that folder. Visit craftwithsarah.com/help for instructions on how to do that, as well as a wide range of other tutorials on how to use your Cricut, Silhouette, or Scan and Cut machine. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG file into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and then press Upload over on the left, and then go to Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the file on your computer or drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the download folder, and then the file to select is the one that starts SVG in the file name. Click and drag it in. And this is what it looks like. Don't worry that you can't see the single cut lines in these shapes. They'll all appear when it's inserted onto your project. Press continue and then upload. And now that it's loaded in, you can see all of those single lines which will be squeezed together to make that bend out 3D effect. The card should load in at 11.5 inches wide and 5.75 inches tall, which will make a 5.75 inch square card when it's all made. Perfect for fitting in pre-made 6x6 envelopes, or you can make your own, and I'll share more information about that later on in this video. The design does come ready to cut, but there are some things you may wish to change. For example, you could add a score line down the middle to make it easier to fold if you've got a Cricut scoring stylus or scoring wheel. Another thing you might want to do is to simplify the little bunny rabbit pictures on the front, because these cut very, very small. So if you're not particularly fond of gluing teeny tiny bits of cardstock, I'll show you in a moment how you can make your card a little bit easier to make. But first, let's do that score line. I'll zoom in on the bottom with these arrows here to make it a little bit easier to see. Click the design and press the ungroup button at the top of the layers panel to separate out all of the different pieces. Then click away. Go into shapes and choose a score line, which is this top one up here, and then close the arrow to get rid of that. Change the score line to 5.75 inches tall. Drag a box around the score line and the card and press Align Center. And then with those 2 layers still selected, so only that score line and the very bottom base card, press Attach. Attach is what tells the Cricut that we want it to do the scoring in this exact place. When you attach layers, it moves them to the top, which is why we now can't see any of the other bits on the card. To move it back to the bottom, with the card base still selected, you can see it here where it says Attach, press Arrange Center Back, and then you can click and drag it to move it back into position if you want to. For simplifying the bunny rabbits, what you can do if you don't want to cut all 4 pieces is to separate out all the layers so that you can see them, and then move the white ones back in place and just cut that one. And then you could just glue the little white bunny faces instead of having to glue 4 tiny bits on top of each other. Because if we click one of these, you see it's just over ½ an inch wide and not even an inch tall. They are very small. You'll see when I start putting this together just how tiny they are. Or to make it even easier than that, you could choose to just have the very bottom layers to make the outline of the rabbit's head, and maybe change the colour in here to a white and have 4 white bunny rabbit silhouettes instead. So it's completely up to you. If you want to, then you can just delete those other pieces. So I could go through and I want to keep the white ones and delete all the others, and then you could just have one layer there. Or you could delete the top 3 and then change the black to white. And I'm just clicking the delete key on my keyboard to get rid of those. So that's a couple of ways you could make it easier to cut. However, I am going to do this exactly as it cuts. So let's just hit that undo button to put everything back to how it was looking before I started playing. If you don't want to do brown and cream bunny rabbits, you could change the colours to all match. For example, I could click on the top layer on one of the cream ones, go into the colour box and choose brown, and do that on the other one, and then I could make them all the same colour. Similarly, if you want to use a different colour palette for your main colours, just go down until you find what you want to change, click on it, go into the colour box, and then you can change it to whatever you want. For example, I could maybe do a dark green and then a lighter green instead of blue. For these cards, it works really nicely if the darker colours, which are your solid background pieces, are cut from either glitter, holographic or metallic card. If you don't have any, that's absolutely fine. You can just use a normal colour, but if you do have something with a bit of sparkle, it really does add to the overall effect. I'm doing this again, so it's back to how it was when it loaded. And I'm going to go ahead and press make. This will separate out all the colours for you, and now you can start seeing just how small these little rabbits are. You can click and drag to move things about, and you can change the paper size if you want to down the drop downs here. I should have done that first because now I've got to move them about again. This card is great for using up some of your scraps left over from other projects because for a lot of the colours you'll only need, as you can see, a little tiny bit. This card is definitely not for you if you don't like cutting small intricate bits of cardstock. You will need to change the paper size for every single colour. The only one you probably won't be able to change it for is your main base card because this cuts at 11.5 inches, which is the maximum the Cricut can cut, and you will need 12 by 12 inch card for that. If you don't have any 12-inch card, then you could hide this layer on the screen before you press make and cut it with a guillotine or a craft knife or something instead. It just measures 11.5 by 5.75 and then you'd fold it down the middle. So you can still make this card even if you don't have a 12 by 12 card. Alright, so get everything looking how you want it to. Press continue to connect to your Cricut and then follow the on-screen instructions to get everything cut out with your machine. Here are all of the pieces of my Easter bend out card cut out, and I've laid them one on top of the other to check I'm happy with all the colours. I've used glitter card as the background behind all of the pieces that are going to have the bend out shapes on to give it a little bit of extra sparkle, which you can sort of see as I tilt my card into my camera lights. When all the little shapes are bent upwards, you'll be able to see some of that glitter peering through the gaps. And this is what I meant about the bunny rabbits in the middle being really, really small. Look how tiny that is. Just compare it. It's about the size of my thumbnail. Very small. So I've already stuck 3 of them together off camera, but I've got one left to do to show you. But first up, we'll start from the bottom. So we've got our base card to fold in half. I folded mine so that it will have the fold on the side, which tends to work a little bit better than doing it at the top. It's just a little bit more sturdy when it's stood up. And then we've got the bottom solid square to go on first. You can see some of my glitter a little bit more now. And then the square with the egg cutouts will be glued on top of that. The glue I'm using for this project is Barely Art glue. I really like it because it doesn't bend or wrinkle the card like some glues can do. And I also like Kalal for the same reason. Kalal is a solvent glue, so it has a little bit of a smell to it, whereas Barely Art glue doesn't. I live in the UK and I get both of these on Amazon. To add a little bit of extra depth and dimension to the card, some of the pieces will be stuck together using foam squares. The foam squares I'm using are from Dot and Dab, but any will do. If yours are really big, you might need to cut them smaller with scissors, but because they're going on fairly big bits of card, you should be all right, even if yours are a little bit bigger than these ones. All right, let's get gluing these bottom pieces, starting with the glitter. I love this. It's so pretty. Quite a lot of glue on here because it's going to have all the weight of all those extra bits on top of it. So we want to make sure it doesn't fall off the front of the card. Also, glitter card, if you're using glitter card, is quite thick. That makes it a little bit heavier as well. There we go. And then this one on top, I've used a sort of textured card for this colour. I don't think you can really see that being picked up on the camera, but it's quite pretty. I'm trying to get the glue right up into the corners, like you can see there, so that they're nice and sturdy and well stuck on. Push down carefully because you don't want the glue to smush out the sides and be visible. So when you're pushing down around the edges of the eggs, just be very gentle. And that's what we've got so far. Next up, we've got the largest of the design pieces, and these ones will be glued on, starting with the solid piece. For me, that's even more glitter. Get it as centralised as you can. Try and put it on straight, which I'm terrible at. I'm so bad at getting stuff stuck straight. That looks pretty good. You can see all the sparkles. And then next up, we've got this piece with the bunny and the egg cutouts on. For all of these cutouts, I'm going to go in each side. Let's try and show you, it's very small. So I'm going to get my nails in each side of that egg and then pinch them upwards. And then you get a little bend out, pop out effect like that. And I'm wishing I hadn't cut my nails this morning because this would have been much easier with long nails. I can still just about do it. There we go. So I'm sort of pinching it in all the way, almost like butterfly wings, and then gently flattening it out just a little bit so that you can still tell it's an egg shape. So pinch it all the way in and then gently flatten out a little bit. And then the same for the bunny. And grab it, pinch together so it goes up like that, and then flatten out a little bit. So you've got all that dimension in there. And then do the same for all of the cutouts all the way around. Right, that's all of those done. Now I can glue this to the front of the card. When you're gluing, turn it upside down and make sure you don't add your glue to any of the bits that are bent outwards. Otherwise you're going to glue it flat against your card and they won't be able to bend out anymore. That being said, do try and get the glue around your very edges, around the border, because that will give you a better overall stick and give more kind of stability to your card. So you see here I'm trying to go around that very edge, but without actually getting any glue onto the card that bends outwards. Being very quiet while I do this, concentrating. There we go. And then stick it on. It's the same on every side, so it doesn't matter which way around you put it. But just like when we were sticking on around the edges of the eggs on this bit, be very careful pushing down your borders so that you don't get any glue smush out. There, that's that one done. You can see now some of that glitter when you hold it, just showing through those little gaps where everything's bent outwards. And it's very pretty. Alright, we're going to move on to the next level, which is the one with the chicks. Starting with the background piece, and this will be done with foam squares to give a little bit of depth between them. So we'll turn that over, add some foam squares. As well as adding them around the edge, you also want to make sure you've got some in the middle so there's a nice firm backing, almost like we're making a little table. It needs to be firm all the way along so that the 3D effect will be consistent. So I'll put some around the middle there. A couple of extras. Better to have a few too many than not enough. There we go. Then peel the tops off to reveal the stickiness underneath. We'll put this on. It should go this way round, so you've got the kind of outside bobbly bits along the top. And they fit nicely around your little eggs on the one underneath. Push down to get it to stick. And that's what we've got. And then this one with the chicks, we've got some more egg cutouts to squeeze together. Just like before, pinch it in, flatten it out a little bit, and work your way around the whole side. There aren't as many to do this time, and they are bigger, so it's easier, which is good. There, much quicker. Alright, glue time. My glue is not coming out. I haven't been very good today at remembering to put the pin in when I stop using it. Dried out a little bit in there. Putting the needle in and out a few times usually fixes it. Yeah, there we go. Awesome. Okay, so just like on the blue bit, I'm trying to get my glue around the edge, but not in any of those egg shapes that bend out. Otherwise they'll get stuck to the card instead of having that 3D effect. And then some in the middle. And then line it up. Again, it's the same on each side once you've got it facing the right way, so it doesn't matter too much which way around it goes. But on your bobbly bits on the edge, you've got the chicks on the outside, and then the egg in the middle. And that's it now. Alright, are you ready for the real tricky gluing bit when we get to these bunnies? We'll do this one first. And more foam squares for the solid bit. Then this sticks on so that the bunny ears go pointing upwards and downwards, so it fits in the hole. Like that. And the next one to glue on top. There aren't any bits to fold out this time. That fits on there. So you've got a nice amount of that glitter showing, or the darker colour if you've not used glitter. And then next up, if you made this simpler and you've only got either the bunny silhouette or the one layer, then you've just got those to glue on. But if you've done all of them, then each bunny has 4 colours to go. So it'll be black at the bottom, then the pink, then the white, then either the brown or the cream. And this is going to be real hard to show you because they're so small, but we'll just glue them in that order. So black at the bottom, then pink, then white. Very, very small. There we go. And then either your cream or your brown. This is a cream one. You see now why I did most of these not showing you on camera. It's so teeny tiny. And that's what we're left with. Very cute. And then all 4 of your bunnies just get glued to the front of the card. They're already quite thick if you've got the full 4 pieces in them, which is why they're being glued and not done with foam squares. I'm alternating the colours. Got cream on the side and my little brown rabbit at the top and bottom. Could do it the other way around if you want, or maybe you've cut them all the same colour, or a different colour entirely. Completely up to you. And last one. And that's my Easter bend out card all finished. I love how sparkly it is, and I think the little pop of colour in the middle with those bunnies really helps draw the eye in. This card works best if it's given in person and placed in a presentation box rather than an envelope, because then you've got the depth on the side of the box, which means it's not going to push any of your fold out shapes flat. However, if all you've got is an envelope, that's absolutely fine, because if it does fold them all flat, then whenever you give it to someone, they can just bend them out a little bit if they want to. But even if they do go flat, so if I push that kind of flat, you can still see it's a little bit of a bend out effect. So you'll still get that little bit of push. So it'll never look completely flat, even if it has gone through an envelope. I'll add the links in the description of this video on where you can get a free presentation box template and also a free envelope template to make for this card. And the tutorial for both of those shows how to size them so that they'll perfectly fit your card in them. I hope that you enjoyed this video on how to make a beautiful mandala bend-out card for Easter. With all of the glitter and intricate pieces, it's sure to impress your friends and family this spring. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more card making and Cricut videos. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!